listening to the Budget Overland podcast, where we talk everything overlanding, have guests on regularly, and even have a bonus show on Mondays called Overland Shenanigans, which it's like it sounds, a bunch of shenanigans. Stick around, see who's on today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Budget Overland podcast. I'm your host, Benji. I hope everything is going good in your world and many adventures lie ahead. So today's episode was recorded live on a river or creekside, whatever you want to call it, a little beach there. Taylor from Diamond State Offroad was there, and Jacob from Eagles Overlanding was there. We just kind of discussed kind of different hot topics that are going on within the overlanding world. We disagreed on a couple things, but overall, I think we agreed on most of it. So yeah, stick around. I just wanted to set this one up for you because Taylor does the introduction. Thanks for being here, guys.
We're live.
Are we really?
Welcome to the Ozark National Forest on the Budget Overland podcast with your host, Benji Ward, your co-host, Jacob. And I'm just here. I'm Taylor.
Taylor, hey guys. So we're live in the eastern part of the Ozarks National Forest? Ozarks?
Ozark National Forest, yeah.
All right.
St.
Singular.
Francis
St. Francis District. And we've been at this campsite since 3 o'clock this afternoon, maybe even 2:30. Was it 2:30?
Close enough.
2:40, sure. Yeah.
Who wants to say what we did this morning?
We went exploring for a ancient Indian burial ground.
Was it haunted?
I don't know. You ran real quick.
I don't like that stuff. It freaks the heck out of me.
I don't know. My phone screen kind of glitched once, and I was just like, it's all good.
So Benji, you got there and you found it first, and you're like, well, this is cool. And then we never saw you again.
I got the heebie-jeebies, but I respect the dead, and not a sense of who they were, because we have no idea those. So we assume, per the lead or the tip that Baker got, that that there was an Indian burial ground at X marks the spot. So we went on a back road, went down a pretty decent trail, and then we hiked about a mile or two to get to the spot. And I found one little cave, and I was like, this is cool. And I asked Baker, I was like, can you, for 100%, identify it by like the picture? And he's like, yes. So he came down there, he looked at it, he's like, this is not it. So we kept hiking, and then we found another cave, which was 1,000% in. And per the story, we don't know how many bodies were in there, but there was confirmed dead bodies, not by us, but by archaeologists that were like, there were human remains in here. And that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Not only with the fact that these people could have been hundreds of years old or thousands of years old, we were in their tomb, and I don't want to be disrespectful, and I'm not saying you guys are just disrespectful, but I don't like that. It gives me a weird vibe, and I understand as filmmakers and storytellers, you have to show this stuff, but I exited and just listened from afar. We'll just say that.
So when we were in there, though, to me, it didn't look like anything was there.
Yeah.
But Baker said that they didn't excavate.
Yep.
They didn't dig.
Sure.
And they just did scanning. And that's how they confirmed. But I don't know. Just by looking at it, for me, it's hard to tell.
What year did they say that they dug
I don't know.
or excavated?
I don't remember.
I think it was the 70s.
Okay. So clearly the 70s were like 40-something years ago. And there was a lot of pockets in there that look like humans have been in there digging around. And there was also a sifting basket or a sifting box it was like a 1x1 boards screwed together with a screen on the base to where they could put soil and whatnot and sift for arrowheads or gold even, or any Indian artifacts that are worth any money.
Yeah.
And it's just sad to see humans stoop to that level for a cheap buck. And I don't know if that's what happened. I'm just assuming. And once I was in there, kind of looked around, it was like kind of an eerie little feeling, and I left. I just walked over for a while, and you guys were doing it, which was fine. The views up there were amazing.
Yeah.
And it was on top of a hill overlooking a valley, which had a river at the base of the valley. And without giving anything away, looking back, we were all thinking hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago even. The hillside right now was currently covered in foliage and trees, not fully grown or mature trees. It was just kind of a thick area. So we were envisioning hundreds of years ago or whenever that was kind of more open, because the Indian population around here was thick, and thousands of Indians at the time. So I don't know. It was just kind of cool to look back at another time period in life and in history, and us here in this day were able to experience that small little thing. We felt like we were explorers, or at least I did, especially the hike.
I think it was more like half a mile.
But yes, half a mile.
A bushwhacking.
It was at least 2 days worth of travel.
Oh,
So anyway, what was your guys' takeaway from today, other than what I just said? No stealies. You can't steal what I said.
I think it was kind of like time traveling.
Time traveling.
Yeah. Not many people get to see it. Who knows who was there last either, and
Right.
what people were there or are there, I guess, in this case.
Sure.
It was just interesting. It was unique. Got to experience, something that not a lot of people get to see in person.
Yeah.
So for me, being young, I hated history growing up.
Ooh,
history.
I loved history.
So and I've heard this before, but most younger ones don't care. So I went into this just to help Baker film this, but I'm sure looking back in the future, I'll feel like it'll have more of an impact. Like Baker did a video on the petroglyphs, and we got there. My reaction was cool. There's carvings and rocks, big deal. But after he made the video, I learned a lot more, and it had more of an impact on me. So maybe this video that he makes will do the same thing. Does that make sense?
It does. And I always compare, and it's a lousy or sleazy comparison with like spray paint, when people go to not cliffs and stuff, because that's just outright stupid. But like if you go to a building and people tag the buildings and stuff, some of that might last, or even train cars, that might last 50 to 100 years, maybe, before someone paints over it. But these petroglyphs carved in the side of rock have been there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And, in past times, and we see this like out west, where trails go by petroglyphs, people will shoot at them or scratch over them, unfortunately. But the ones that are hidden, it really shows how many people actually have visited that spot. So going to these spots where the petroglyphs still exist, like you're one of the few people in history who are still fortunate enough to see it. And I think that's super cool. Like the history of it, and not to go into detail or anything, but like with us posting pictures and videos and stuff, how long is that going to last on the internet? 20 years, 30 years, and then what? No one's going to remember this stuff. So if we could educate others to educate their kids and stuff to be like responsible, that's huge.
So something else I find that's cool is these are in the wild. Like they're not marked.
No, exactly.
It's all
good point.
In the wild. So that makes it more special, because if you go to a museum, they take it away from the wild and put it in a building.
That is so good.
So to actually go out to where it actually was, that is kind of cool.
So like, just to add to the listeners and stuff, like, so this isn't marked on a map. There is no parking lot, and then you hike down these steps. We are in the middle of Arkansas. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere, and we had to drive to the middle of nowhere and then hike further into the middle of nowhere to find it. So it's like, yeah, y'all, it ain't going to be no museum. And we're not going to share this information as to where this is at. Go out, do your research, find it yourself, whatever. But if you do find them, respect them, take care of them. Don't get them, vandalized or anything. So anyway. So up until this point, you boys have been on, I think you guys were on the podcast a year ago. What the heck happened a year ago to where y'all are at now? Who wants to go first on this one?
I'm engaged.
Let's slow it down, big daddy.
Hey, it's
right.
an exciting moment.
Jacob, Eagles Overlanding. I saw you I saw you.
Holiday special. No more expo.
Yeah, okay. So I saw you more in our last wheeling trip together was December or something?
December, yeah.
The holiday specials on the YouTube channels. And prior to that, it's been a long time. So anyway, what have you been up to? Catch us up from December until now, kind of slowly. This is a podcast. People like to listen to this stuff.
So I've been overlanding. I've been breaking things. I've been fixing them. And then I repeat the process.
Oh, nice.
So that's what I've been up
That
to.
doesn't sound very budget.
No.
Not budget friendly, that's for sure.
No, that's for sure. It's unexpected expenses.
That's expensive stuff.
But, oh gosh. So from December to now, I don't know. Camping and more camping.
Yeah, camping, more camping. You fixed your truck.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of fast forwarding, but forever I'd been saying that I would weld spindle gussets on my spindles because I've had 2 spindles go out while on the trail. Well, now I got spindle gussets.
Nice.
So that's cool.
And just tell everybody that's like a reinforcement bracket that goes over your spindle in
Correct.
case you have a hard impact or something hits it. It's just extra security.
It's, extra security, extra support.
Yes.
Especially on the first gen Tundras, the upper part where the upper ball joint mounts to the spindle is super thin.
Yeah.
So there's no wonder that, trailing in it goes out quick.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of bugs.
A what?
There's a lot of bugs.
There are a lot of bugs.
Nature.
So,
We are in the thick of it.
and now I'm a welder, so I was able to weld those on TIG weld.
Heck yeah, you are.
And I hit it with a hammer a couple times. It didn't go anywhere,
Lord.
so we should be okay.
So tell us about your little lady friend.
So my little lady friend, I guess is a little lady friend. Her name's Savannah. And, we've been dating for 7 months, almost 7 months. And I proposed to her in April at Fuzzy Butt Falls in Arkansas.
Fuzzy butt.
Fuzzy Butt Falls. So I made a video about it. And the name is not what it looks like.
Sure. No.
It's a beautiful place. But, the name makes it more interesting, I guess. But I love her, and I want to marry her, so that's what's going to happen.
Fantastic. I'm
She
happy
said
for
yes.
you. Well, that's great. Yeah, she said yes. That's a big minor factor. Is that the one you've got to hike in a mile and a mile out?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's the one we opted out.
Correct.
Okay. Taylor.
Yes.
Diamond State Off-Road. What the heck have you been up to since? When last time? We saw each other at Moore. Previous trip. When was that?
Rito.
No, really?
Rito. I didn't go on the Christmas trip.
Ugh. All
I
right.
was sick.
So Rendezvous in the Ozarks is in the 3rd week of October, and it is now May 20th. And this is our first wheeling trip together since.
Correct.
But we saw each other at Moore, which was April 21st, 22nd, somewhere in there. Was it?
I thought it was 20. Yeah, 21st.
All right, somewhere in there. Dang, I didn't realize it that long.
Yeah.
Okay. What you been up to?
Not a lot. Working.
Changes on your rig?
Wheels.
Wheels. What'd you go with?
Some stock JL black and silver wheels
Nice.
to replace the all silver wheels before.
Cool. You like the setup? I think it looks killer.
Yeah, they look good. It's
amazing.
got, the red Jeep on them.
Nice.
And then I guess I got new tires too at the same time.
What tires you go with?
Kenda Cleaver MTs.
You liking them?
They're wearing great.
Okay.
They're wearing really good, actually.
How many miles on the tires?
Close to 5,000.
With wheeling hours or wheeling miles?
Yeah. A lot of gravel road. Haven't really put them through their paces yet. They cleared out good in the mud today.
We did experience, because it rained here, gosh, really bad.
Last
Like,
night.
so like 2 weeks ago, y'all, when did I come down here? Maybe 3 weeks ago, and we were experiencing a lot of floods, a lot of rain. And so it since has dried up. And I came down yesterday. We did some wheeling today, light wheeling. And yeah, it was just a bunch of mud. It rained last night, supposedly really, really, really bad. And we all went to bed, but we had a good time. But yeah, coming in here was like a sloshy mess in a lot of those places. But you got to take those trails to get to the epic spots. And this is for sure, I think, collaboratively our favorite spot in the Eastern Ozarks for sure. And yeah, we won't tell you where that's at either. But anyway, we could say.
We were here
September of
I think it was
22.
Yep.
And it was about the same weather. I mean, it's what, 60 degrees out maybe?
Yeah.
It's
probably
beautiful.
65.
Beautiful. We had an excellent day because of that rain last night. Today, for some reason, it didn't get all hot and sweaty and humid. For some reason, it stayed very nice.
It was a roll the windows down AC on mid blast for me.
I actually had my AC off quite a bit of the day with the windows down.
In the morning, it was like you could have gotten away with the hoodie or no hoodie.
Right.
It was almost hoodie. So that was great.
It was, yeah. It was a pleasant surprise in the middle of the night when I was reaching over for the second down blanket. And I didn't have a sleeping bag or anything. I was just like 2 down blankets. That was it. I was golden. So let's talk. Let's shift gears. We're caught up. Let's shift gears into overlanding, the overused word of 2022 and 2023. And earlier, Jacob and I were talking about this, and Taylor took a little cat nap. And I was like, let's wait until Taylor wakes up and we can all collaboratively talk about this. Because I think it's a kind of important topic for those who consider themselves overlanders. And a lot of people throw that term or word around loosely. And I think for us, I don't know. We'll go around the table here and say, but I think for me, like an overlander is a guy that goes out exploring the woods. He could rely on his vehicle to get him in and out. He could cook, he can camp, he could do whatever respectfully to the environment and get out. There's other people that call themselves overlanders and they don't leave their driveway. And that's just in a nutshell. And we'll kind of get into that. Like, what is an overlander? Is it a commercially overused word now? Or is it, I don't know. I already know the answer to this, but I want to hear your guys' input. What does overlanding mean to you, Jacob? And we don't have to get like all jabby or to the point. Give me your experience as you've been overlanding for what, 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, 2 years. And, well, for me, overlanding to me is vehicle-based camping and traveling through off pavement.
Off pavement, okay.
That incorporates, I mean, it doesn't have to be trails, but gravel roads, off pavement, going to remote areas, I guess is a better way of saying that. And doing it out of your vehicle. So, you know, at whatever you do, and I'm not saying like sleeping on your vehicle. I'm just saying you're using your vehicle to get wherever and not going to a public campground or whatever. Like you're just getting out, you're exploring. And I want to add to it too. Like, should I go that far? Like calling myself an overlander to somebody else is getting more difficult. So like right now, if I were to go out in public to a gas station and somebody says, "Oh, what is this? What are you doing?" I don't want to tell them I'm an overlander.
Right.
So like that's how bad the term I think is getting.
It's been colluded and it's been abused, in my opinion. But we'll come back and we'll touch on that too. Taylor, what about you? What is overlanding? What is it now? Do you feel comfortable talking about overlanding?
I don't know. I think the whole overlanding word has been muddied. I don't know the term. It's been like watered down.
Watered down.
So vehicle-based travel, you know, whether you're camping on it, in it, around it, whatever, you're using it to go out and explore.
Yeah.
You're not going to the KOA. You're not going to the lake, you know, and paying for a camp spot. And then I think kind of back to on Jacob's deal where, you know, somebody asks you like, "Oh, what's that on your Jeep?" In my case, you know, "Oh, it's a rooftop tent. You know, we go to the national forest and camp." I don't ever really even use the word overland.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's, again, Diamond State Off-Road. I didn't want the whole
Sure.
overlanding name anyway, from my standpoint, because I do a little bit more than just quote unquote overlanding.
Yeah. Interesting, because you both said not going to KOAs or whatever, organized campsites. I'm not sure if you both said off pavement. Did you both say that?
I didn't say off pavement, but I think that comes with the territory.
Okay, so if we're driving from central Arkansas to Moab, is the journey there overlanding, or is that just highway time until you hit gravel? I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. I'm just asking.
I would call that traveling.
That's just standard traveling. Yeah.
Not overlanding.
No.
What if you camp on the side of the road at BLM land somewhere?
Sure.
Is that overlanding, or is it still traveling?
I think that would be overlanding at that point, because you're exploring. You don't know where you're going to stop. I mean, sure, traveling, you don't know where you're going to stop. You may stop Oklahoma City. You might stop in Amarillo.
Okay.
But, you know, that's, you know, parking lot, Walmart, whatever.
Okay.
So, like if you were to pull over into a Walmart parking lot, I mean, the people that live in their vehicles,
Sure.
do they call themselves overlanders?
Well,
What do they call themselves?
I think that would be like
Squatters?
van life or car camping.
Stealth camping is a huge
Stealth
thing.
camping.
Stealth camping.
Yeah.
So at that point, I would say you're stealth camping. If you're pulling into a parking lot or off the side of a paved road, I would say that falls into more stealth.
And this is just me. I don't think, and that's where this whole word overlanding gets diluted or colluded, corporatized, if that's even a word. But I think it's vehicle dependent travel. Okay, so we're all depending on our vehicles. We can live out of our vehicles. So I think if I want to go from here to Alaska, am I not overlanding until I get to Alaska because that's my destination, or am I overlanding on my way? And I believe I'm overlanding when I leave my house all the way to Alaska. It doesn't matter if I stay at a KOA. I'm relying on my vehicle. I'm cooking meals out of it. I'm camping out of it. But I think, and that's the funny thing, and I'm not throwing you guys under the bus or anything. I think there's a lot of people that agree with you more so than me. But I think anytime you are traveling out of your vehicle, which could be your Honda Civic or a fully built out Jeep Wrangler or Tacoma or whatever, as long as you're driving and being able to sustain and live out of your vehicle, you're overlanding. If that's your goal. If you're wanting to be like, hey, we got to get to Walt Disney World tomorrow by 7 a.m., we got to leave tonight, that's traveling. We got to stay in this hotel in between, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I don't want to go down that road. But go ahead.
I think the whole overlanding thing is more self-defined, I guess.
It is. It's so spread out.
You can define it as whatever you want it to be, how hardcore or mild
Yes.
you want it to be.
Yeah. I agree with that. And you can see people that off-road, and I'm not going to name drop anybody, but I think if you off-road and rock climb, you're essentially not necessarily overlanding, because an overlander could be out of a minivan. And if you in your 37s and 40s invited a minivan to go quote unquote overlanding with you, and you're going to Moab or wherever and rock crawling, what's the minivan going to do? Nothing. He's not a capable vehicle. So that's another fun little
It's almost like today.
fork in the road.
Baker was in a van.
Today, yeah.
And we had to park him elsewhere because he was too large to go down the trail
Yep.
that we went down. And that gets difficult to judge whether Baker was overlanding or if he was just
Exploring.
So I don't know.
But
It's
in
so
his
tricky.
defense, we knew we were coming back out that way.
Yeah. So has anybody ever said what the original term meant?
Well, that's the thing. So if you want to get into it, back in the day, the stagecoaches would deliver mail from like Independence to Oregon and the West Coast and all that. And the stagecoaches were typically wherever the town or the name of the owner. So it's the owner, town, blank, overland company or whatever. or express. So you had the Silverton Overland Express. You know, it'd go from wherever the mail was shipped to Silverton, Colorado, or whatever. That's that word. So you'll get your hardcore guys that say, oh, it originated in Australia, or whatever. And then you'll get your harder core guys that are all committed and spent millions of dollars. Not really, but they spent a lot of money. And they're like, oh, you have to be internationally traveled to be considered an overlander. I think we're overlanding now. And how many days have we been at it? 2 days. I think we're overlanding. Weekend landers, I don't care what you call it, but it's like we're in the middle of nowhere. We've got our gear. We're on a freaking riverside in the background, but it's like
no cell service.
No cell service. Yes, we've got cool, fancy amenities, not amenities, and that's fine as long as we're happy and we're able to do it. I bummed 2 meals off these guys tonight because Baker stole my fajitas. So
did he steal them or did you?
I forgot them, but I'm gonna say he stole them.
They're in his fridge, in his van, and he
Still.
drove away with them.
I texted him. I said, "Enjoy my fajitas, LOL." And was that a long time ago? And we have no cell service, so I don't know what he wrote back. So anyway,
So back on your overland deal, I think a lot of people get lost. Yeah,
that is what it is. It's an overland deal. Stop it. Anyway, go ahead.
I think a lot of people get lost in the gear. Like you don't have to have a rooftop tent.
Newbies or pro, like people.
Anybody.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, the gear makes it nicer or easier, I guess, maybe in some cases. But you need a place to sleep and you need food at the end of the day.
that's your essentials.
Yeah.
So when I leave my house, there's 3 things I say: food, water, shelter. If I got food, if I got water, and I got shelter,
What about gas?
well, that
Gotta have-
comes
Got to travel.
I'm not going to nitpick you, but I know what you're saying. So food, water,
now.
shelter, gas.
Shelter includes, bedding, and
Sure.
shelter. I mean, you're
It could be a tent, a hammock, whatever.
based off the weather you're camping in, and then food could be anything. Food, anything to fuel yourself,
Right.
and then water to keep you hydrated.
Right. You don't need all the extra bull crap mounted to your rig, but I feel like that is. I always say this: we're on different journeys, different times, whatever. And when I first started, I thought rooftop tents were stupid. I thought fridges were stupid. What else? Just the little petty stuff. And anyway, so now I've got a rooftop tent. Now I've got a fridge. And I think as you evolve and as you, take more trips, it's okay to save up money, budget your money to buy nicer stuff that helps you. You don't need to go into an overland store and be like, I want this picture. I want this guy. And you're like, and the dude's like, okay, cool. And then you're like, well, this isn't practical. And then as you learn, you're like, well, that guy lives in the desert and you're going through the Mark Twain National Forest in Missouri, getting pinstripes left and right and gears ripping off because it was built for a full-size rig. I'm not pointing any fingers, but
Happened to me.
but not
in the Mark
to
Twain.
a point.
But-
Oh yeah.
Now, you were saying you're targeting towards people that get things that they don't need or use. Now, everything on my rig, I use. Now, there's some things that people could be like, do you really like my lighting, for example?
Your
Do
what?
I like all my lighting.
Oh yeah.
That's probably the only thing that doesn't get used on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Everything else on my truck gets used, and it's built to how I want it. And to push more on that, when we were at More Expo, all 3 of us were walking and we're looking around, and we were just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like, we're looking at all these rigs that are really just built for the show.
Yeah. Show rigs.
And none of us were like, we want this.
Exhibitor
We're happy
rigs.
with what our builds are.
I will say exhibitor rigs. That's the rigs that the companies or the manufacturers are like, hey, let's build out a rig to where we can relate to people. But yet most of those people don't know what the heck they're doing. They just see it like everybody else on Instagram and just build it up. And you're like, looking at a rig, you're like, there ain't no way that thing's going to go down a trail or down a gravel road or cross country without breaking.
Yeah.
It looks cool for the shows. For the 80% of the people that go to these shows don't know what they're looking at. But I see that. It gets very confusing and overwhelming to where you feel like you need to buy $100,000 rig and $20,000 worth of gear, and you still know what you're doing.
Technical difficulties. Yeah, I mean, my Jeep is probably one of the most minimalist
It is.
builds you can do, and it works for me that way. Small lift, it's a 2-inch lift with Bilstein shocks, sway bar disconnects, a metal front bumper, and a winch,
Yeah.
and a rooftop tent. So, I mean, you don't even have to go that far.
A lot of people get into like, I want 35s.
Right.
Well, when you had
I've
30,
done that too,
sure, man, I too. But whenever you do that, you're pushing not only the limits of the vehicle. Now you got to consider re-gearing. Now you got to consider rubbing issues. Is everything okay? Disconnect sway bar links or whatever. It depends on the application. But that's just for ride comfort and trails. Well, now let's talk about sleeping. Now let's talk about food. Now let's talk about communications. What else? Onboard power banks, whatever. Yeah, air compressors. There's so much to dive into. I'm going to make a list one day of what the average, not the average, what does a person that's been doing this for 4 or 5 years, what do they have on their rig? What is built out on their rig? And then I want to talk to people that have just got into it and not necessarily what they have, but what do they expect to get? That would be really interesting to see the lists and then kind of compare the two. That'd be really good.
Yeah, I think on my end, I pretty much use what's in that Jeep. There's really no...
And you're not super cluttered either, though.
No. I mean, I have a fridge in the back, and then my kitchen tote, and then back seat usually has a dog.
Sure.
And bedding. Everything's pretty well compact and small. Power station, camera gear, usually goes in the front seat. Sometimes a chainsaw, just depends on where we're going.
Yeah. How about you, Jacob? What do you bring?
So,
Essentials
or
whatever. What's your not like specifically like down to your brand of forks and knives, but like kind of give us a run through of what gear you bring typically.
So whenever, like, if I'm like this weekend, for example, I basically everything that I need is already in the truck. So what I need to build a fire, what I need to cook, what I need to power charge things, things like that are already in my navigation's already. So all I have to pack for me is clothing and camera gear, and and food. Restock in the fridge. So, I've got a fridge that stays in the truck, powered full time, because I've got the solar set up. And that solar setup is built to where I can keep things charged. Every accessory on the truck is on that accessory battery. And all my cooking and my little necessities like blankets and propane hoses and leveling blocks and little things like that are in another drawer. And then I feel like I don't bring a whole lot.
No, in the essentials part, like leveling blocks, you don't necessarily need. That's something that you saw as a value of doing this multiple times a year.
Yeah.
And that's where I say, like, we're evolving, we're all on different pages, different adventures and whatever. Trying to make it nice to where like we evolve into whatever it is that we're doing, and you get comfortable, and that's your routine. So whenever you go, and Savannah and Taylor and then when we go to camp, we can set up like in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
And that's like chairs, folding tables, camping, not camping, your fire or your cooking. That's what I meant, not camping. Your cooking gear, all that stuff can be deployed and set out in 5 minutes or less, and we're having a good time. Yeah. And that comes with doing this regularly, and it's fine if you want to bust out the firefly lights and the whatever you want to do. roll out the carpet, do whatever. Everybody's different. There's no right way to do this overlanding camping thing. But I feel like the word overland lately has been distorted, exploited, and abused. So don't fall under the category of that. And I hate the word car camping also because that doesn't define it that well. It's just a cute boomer way of saying I've been doing it forever. And no offense to the boomers. It's just weird to put this all in a shoebox or into a corner. Essentially all it is camping, wheeling, exploring. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no right way to do it. And if you want to go for a weekend, if you want to go for a year, if you want to go for 10 years, you do you, bro. I don't care. Just respect the property, the land. Don't abuse it. Pick up after yourself and pick up after the side-by-side guys too, because they suck. But anyway, that was a joke, but not really. Those guys drink beer and throw it out all the time. So anyway, education's key. I know the side-by-side guys don't like education, but tell them littering's not good. So anything you guys want to add to this?
No, that's not all side-by-side guys.
It's the same thing with off-roaders and overlanders.
Yeah,
you got that 1% that pisses them off.
Yeah.
But I don't like side-by-side guys because when I'm going down a trail efficacy is in their favor. The tread lightly factor goes out the window. So when I'm on a big road, the side-by-side guys feel like they can go out into the brush to go around me. That's not cool because that'll get that trail shut down.
The last trip I did with Baker and Chris Carroll, we had an encounter with 4 side-by-sides. None of them liked us. None of them would. I mean, we're big, full-size vehicles, all 3 of us, on this trail that was tight. And you got these side-by-sides that are just sitting in the road looking at us like, what do we do? When they're easier, it's easier for them to move out of the way.
Sure.
And let us by. So that paints a bad picture on the side-by-side community. And most encounters I have are that way. Like today, we had a side-by-side that, pulled over, let us through. They waved at us. That, to me, is a good encounter. But most of the time, it's a bad encounter.
He was nice. I had my windows down. I said, hey, thank you. Said, I got 2 more behind me. He goes, okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, I just don't like the fact that they can go 40, 50 miles an hour on these trails and rip up the terrain. And not only that, most of them drink and drive, which is their prerogative, not mine. And they're the ones getting our trails shut down. So if you want to stay on the OHV trails and do that, keep it up. But don't do it on the motor vehicle use map with both of us. You know what I'm saying? Don't mix the two together because that's how trails that I'm only able to use, they get shut down. So like side-by-side trails, they might get a full-size truck map or trail shut down. They might get those shut down, but they can go back over and use their little trail. It really upsets me. And I feel like the wherever, like we're in Arkansas doesn't crack down hard enough. Missouri, where I'm from, they don't crack down hard enough on this stuff. They're honestly, both states are pretty horrible at regulating this stuff because all they do is just shut down berm trails. They don't give out tickets, to my knowledge. I've never seen anyone out here stopping vehicles or anything. It's just frustrating. And it's going to get shut down to where my son, by the time he's able to drive, he's not going to be able to come out here and enjoy it. Not unless they, charge an arm and a leg for a permit, which that's probably what's going to be the future of this hobby. But that's neither here nor there. And I was throwing shade at the side-by-side guys. I know a lot of them are respectable and honest. And it goes the same thing for the overlanders and the off-roaders, the crawlers, whatever you want to call them. Quit littering and all this stuff. And quit making 16 different byways or bypasses on trails.
Or playing in the mud hole.
Playing in the mud hole, back and forth, reverse, hit it again. Quit doing that stuff. Be respectable and go on. we're adults. And I'm getting really upset right now because I'd like to wring each and every one of your necks that go out there and do donuts in the middle of a national forest or BLM land. Anyway, what else you guys want to talk about before old Bench has a heart attack? Guy, that really pisses me off. Like, why can't people just go out and respectfully enjoy? Anyway, let's go.
What you got any plans?
With what?
Future trips planned?
Heck yeah. We're going to Mexico, boys.
Mexico.
Mexico.
I was told New Mexico.
Well, Mexico's just a couple states down, right? It's a state.
I don't think it's a state. It's a country at that point.
It will by the time this trip happens.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like, let's go to New Mexico in like 3 weeks. What say you?
3 weeks?
3 weeks, huh?
I need more time.
I'll rob a bank.
That BO money must be coming in good because you're paying for everybody's gas.
I just said, let's rob a bank.
No. You can rob the bank.
I'll rob a bank, and then I'll slap an Eagles Overlanding sticker on it and a Diamond State Offroad sticker on the door. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness.
What else you guys want to talk about?
Thing you're like 6'4".
Dude, I'm slower than heck. But anyway, we got in the cold creek today.
We did
That was fun.
an ice bath, pretty
Oh,
much.
yeah.
Ugh.
First swim of the year.
Boys, are you serious?
Serious?
Yes.
Yep.
It is dang near June.
Well,
Yeah, it's late for me
you
this
know,
year.
Wow.
I hadn't even had the stand-up jet skis out yet.
Sheesh.
Been busy.
I mean, me and Savannah tried to go not too long ago. Boy, was that water ice cold. Couldn't even get past the knees.
Well, y'all should go to the hot springs.
Yeah.
You didn't do that?
No. We went to the Mulberry.
That's a hopscotch and a kick away from here.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So, speaking of hot springs, you haven't been down to the Washita's.
Never.
Gotta make that one
It's
happen.
it's too far away for me to just go on gravel roads. But it needs
There's some trail, but it's not.
to be
Like out here.
it needs to be mountain ranges,
Oh, we can get you there.
bluffs,
We can
scenic
get you
stuff.
there.
I want to do that.
So, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to shout Taylor out here. Diamond State Off-Road. Check his YouTube channel out. He's got a sampler. There's 3 and 4, and it's pre-routed trails in the Washita's that you can follow and download that'll cover what Benji just said.
Pretty much.
No, that's not the Watchtogs.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some of the days.
Day 1 and 2 are up here. Day
Oh.
3 and 4 are down there.
3 and 4. Okay. All right.
So that's why we called it the sampler, because it gives you
Both. All right. I'll need to confirm some stuff after when we're off air. But anyway, is there anything y'all want to talk about? Plug anything? What's going on in the future?
What's your next mod, if you have one,
For me,
for you?
front struts.
Front struts. That's important.
I call that maintenance.
I would too, but ugh, that's expensive maintenance.
You got that though. It
Oh,
beats.
you're between $500 and $900 for front struts and coils.
But you're how far from home?
500 miles? No, 5 hours. 200 miles.
So what would a tow truck be for that?
Free
Free.
insurance, baby.
All right.
Roadside
Never mind
service.
then. Screw the maintenance. Just beat on it.
No, I don't send it like that. Anyway, I didn't ask a question for me. I just said anything you want to add.
Well, just helping you out.
Helping
I don't know
me
what to
out,
talk
throw me
about.
under the bus. My wife listens to this show.
Oh, well. you
And I gotta go buy struts. Taylor, what's going on in the next few months for you? Anything?
Hopefully camping a lot more. It's been behind this year. I think I've seen more. My buddy Brandon and I went and tent camped out in Washita's one night to try out some new gear, and then here. I think I've only got like 6-7 nights this year.
Okay.
So I've been camping a lot, but I haven't been active on the social media.
Why not?
Just been enjoying the time,
Good.
really. I mean, plus I've gotten to a point where my channel shifted to a storytelling side, so it's taking more time to make a video. Like right now I've got a video in the timeline from 2 weekends ago that I haven't even started. And then, because I just finished a video, and then I'll have this video in the timeline. So it might be a month before this video is out. So
It's going to be real relevant whenever 16
Yeah.
other videos are already out on this.
But like I said, I'm going for a more storytelling route than what we just did this past weekend.
I don't know sign language, so if you know what that means, please let me know.
I don't know sign language.
I don't either. All right, real quick before we hang up the phone here, because we're in person. Does Overlanding have a season? Jacob,
No.
Taylor,
No.
what's your favorite Overlanding season? Jacob,
Winner.
Winner.
winter's my favorite also. Late fall, winter, early spring. Early spring kind of sucks because of all the flooding, but man,
Especially here.
winter opens up a whole new door.
I mean, you can make yourself comfortable winter camping. You can add clothing.
Yes.
You can get
There's
diesel
no
heater, whatever.
bugs.
But in the summertime, you can only take off so many clothes in
Without
public.
pissing off the neighbors?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And
Or
then
scaring the children?
the winter, a diesel heater is fairly cheap.
Yeah, $150, maybe.
Right. And then, ground tent, rooftop tent in your car, whatever, pipe it in.
Oh, yeah.
If you wanna go-
Toasty.
If you want to go the AC route in the summer, it's not so cheap.
It's not.
You've got different options. Like me, I use a generator and a window unit,
Yeah.
and it's
Turns out all right.
pretty chill.
I've not been with you on that setup, but when I do, I will bring my little hose, flex hose.
There you go. We can split it.
You do the splitter. Hook up.
I ain't even done that with him yet.
Is there a tri-splitter? Surely there's a three-way.
Jacob will suffer just like every trip he goes on. with
Street
Taylor.
elbow to street elbow.
Yeah, he'll go to bed, and you'll wake up an hour later, and you'll just swap the hose.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom before we leave?
Just explore.
Just explore.
Don't get caught up in the name.
Don't get caught up in the name.
I had something.
What'd you have? He had something.
I wouldn't say it's words of wisdom, but it's like, go out, have fun, and there's a way.
Circling way back to the beginning of naming the Overland thing, like when you go tell your friends what you're going to do for the weekend, do you tell them you're going overlanding?
I say I'm going to Arkansas or wherever my destination is. They say, "Oh, what's down there?" It's like camping.
Right. So that's basically the same thing for me. It's like, I'm going up to the National Forest this
Right.
weekend to go camp.
Yeah, and I was honestly like the other night we went to a baseball game, and one of the guys was like, "Oh, it looks like you're having fun jeeping," and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't drive a Jeep, there, guy. I drive a Toyota." And he goes, "Like, oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "No, it's fine. It's just camping, and we go wheeling and all that good stuff. Whatever." I said it's called overlanding, but we go camping and wheeling. But there's another contradiction right there. It's like, it's not necessarily wheeling.
I want to just to add.
Traveling.
I want to add to some of everything. Us, quote unquote, overlanders build our rigs to thrive, not survive. I mean, yeah, we're going to survive, but we're not going to try and be survivalists.
No, that's why I always
Yeah.
tell people, we're not going out here to play bushman,
Catch, clean, and cook.
no, survivor man.
We should do that.
We're freaking camping. But it's like, did you guys just feel it get super cool?
Yes.
It's been cool.
It just dropped 10 degrees in 5 seconds ago. It's nice. It's like, I would say 60 degrees right now.
I mean, we're all in shorts and t-shirts, and everyone's kind of.
I'm kind of shivering. We had a fire out here on this rock slab, and it kept exploding. So we moved it over here on the sand, and it's fine. Anything else you guys want to say before I say adios?
Adios.
Adios.
Adios. Go over to Eagles Overlanding at, I guess, YouTube
YouTube and Instagram.
and Instagram, Eagles Overlanding, Diamond State Offroad, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You're on Facebook too, though, aren't
Yeah,
you?
but I don't use it.
Now you don't use it. All
He
right.
uses TikTok too.
Sure.
TikTok's for China.
I'm trying to grow Instagram more right now.
It's all right. So Instagram, YouTube right now seems to really
All
be
the
very
socials.
popular. All socials.
Yeah, all socials.
Go find them. I'll put a link in the description below. And yeah. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this in the middle of nowhere,
in the dark.
in the dark.
We got a fire here, and there's a creek back there.
Yeah, so hopefully the audio turned out great. Anything else? But anyway, don't overcomplicate this crap. It's not rocket science. Get in your car, grab your food, grab your sleeping gear, and go. All right. See y'all later. Bye-bye.